Hi there! Let's build the third section of our website, the Favorite Meals section. For this section, we will use beautiful photography and a nice transition effect to show the favorite meals of OmniFood's users. I planned this section like you can see on that sketch that I did on the left side. And on the right side we see how it will look like. Notice that this section has no title and uses 100% of the browser's width. So no row class here. I choose this design so that those beautiful images have a bigger impact. In this lecture, you will learn how to make a grid of beautiful images and how to make a nice zoom in transition just using CSS. This is really powerful CSS3 stuff. And we'll also learn a way to make IMG elements darker. It's all super easy and fun. So, back to our HTML file. Now, how are we going to build this grid? First of all, we need to make a new section. So, section, and again I will call this section, and this time it's meals. Now, we want 2 rows with 4 images in each row. As I said before, we will not use the row class here because we don't want a centered row with some images. No, we want the images to occupy 100% of the browser's width. And it is actually a good practice to use an unordered list to do that. In fact, 2 unordered lists. We will use 1 for each line. Just as I did in the navigation, it's better to put some stuff in unordered lists. For example, those 4 links in the navigation or these images that we're going to use now, then just throw the images onto that website. So this is what we're going to do now. Well, class, and I will call this meals showcase. Alright, and you remember it, we will have that li element inside of that. And now inside of this list we can put anything we want. In the navigation we put links in here. Now we will see a new HTML element called figure. And figure is also like a container which can contain a image and also a caption for that image. In this case we will only put an image inside of this container and no caption, because I don't want to make things all too complicated here. But just so you know, there is an element called fig caption, and you can use that to put some caption in here. So image. As you remember, we have to specify the source attribute. And now, where is our image? It is probably in resources and then image. And now let's better check what's inside of that folder so that we're completely sure. So resources, images, and yeah, you see here these are our meals. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is the order of the images. And actually in the text file we have the name of the meals, and we can put those names in the alt description of the image, right? So here we just want this image. Let me paste those names here again with a comment as I showed you before, and close this comment. Okay, so this is the alternative text. As you already know, in case that the image cannot be displayed for some reason. And that's it. So I will copy this 3 more times so that we have 4 images here. So this is number 2, number 3, and number 4. And just copy these alt texts. Chicken breast steak and autumn pumpkin soup. Wow, this sounds really good. Makes you feel hungry, right? Okay, this is the first 4 images, the first row of images, and now the second row. So we will format all of this in a second in CSS, don't worry. And number 6, number 7, and number 8. And now the descriptions. So it's really important that you fill out this alt attribute in order to make your websites valid HTML. We will see later in the course how we can check if we actually have valid or invalid HTML code. So this is really important. All right. So let's see what it looks like on our web page. So of course these images are so big and look nothing like we want so far. We're gonna fix that with CSS right now. All right. So remember, this is called Meals Showcase. I will just copy this so you don't have to write it all again. So Meals Showcase. Let me copy this. Again, I'm really worried about the structure here. So this is the meals. All right. So as before, since this is a list and we don't want that bullet points, we say list style none. And another thing, since we want this to be the entire browser width, I will say with 100%. So I hope you're already getting familiar with all of that and that you can follow exactly what I'm doing here. Now the next thing is to format the li elements inside of the unordered list. So meals, showcase, and li, as we already know. So we want to display them as a block. So you see this display property here is a really important one. I'm using it all the time, and you will too once you develop your first websites. And the next thing is that I want to float these elements to the left. So instead of showing one after one, I want them side by side. And another very important thing is their width. So I'm having a list with 100% width, and I want 4 elements inside of this to show side by side with the full width. So I have 4 li elements, and therefore each of them has to be 25% wide, right? Because 4 times 25 makes the 100%. Okay. Now let me just do one thing here, and let me give this figure element a class. I will call this meal photo, and I will do this with all of these 8 figures. And 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Now, what I want to do now is to format these. So it's meal photo. And what I got to do now is to say this, width 100%. Now saying that this element with the class meal photo has a width of 100% means just that it has the exact width of its parent, which is meal showcase li. And we have also to say that it has a margin 0. I know that we already did this in the beginning here. It's maybe what you're wondering. But as with the h1 element, this normalized file defines some margin for that element, and so we have to override that specifically. And now I need to format the actual photo, the actual image inside of the photo container. And the most important thing I have to do is again width equals 100%. And this will do exactly the same thing as before. It will assure that the image is exactly as wide as its container, which is this element. And the height will then be set automatically. So what does it look like? Alright, this is exactly what we want, right? So this looks great. The images are already here, but we're not quite done with this because, as I said in the introduction of this lecture, we want to add some cool transitions here. And that's what we're going to do in part 2 of building the meals section. See you there.